President receives major backlash for comparing the impeachment inquiry to lynching, and Hillary Clinton appears to be walking back her attack on Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard.
Amazing. We're back with Democratic strategist Antoine Seawright and former Georgia Congressman Jack Kingston. Gentlemen, so the president took a lot of heat for comparing this impeachment inquiry to a lynching. First of all, Antoine, before we get into apparently Joe Biden made similar comments back in '98, let me just get your reaction to the president.
My grandparents are sharecroppers from South Carolina. I'm one generation removed from that. My father did not have indoor plumbing growing up. So I was lucky enough to be around to hear the stories about lynching and those kind of conversations and what it meant for people who look like me. So when Donald Trump, someone who has a history of saying racial things, and quite frankly, in my opinion, being a racist, says this, it sends a different signal to us. Lynching during the day for people of color was not a cute, sexy thing that you want to talk about in order to get a political response. So that's why I took issue with Donald Trump using those words. And if you think about what other things he said, go back to where you come from. Barack Obama was not a U.S. citizen. The Central Park Five, African-American countries or S-hole countries, all those things present a real picture about Donald Trump.
I should say, I mean, we have some sound of Vice President Biden using pretty much exactly the same rhetoric from the 1990s. Let's take a listen to that.
History is going to question whether or not this was just a partisan lynching or whether or not it was something that, in fact, met the standard, the very high bar that was set by the founders as to what constituted an impeachable offense.
I will say, Jack, I mean, I think that, I mean, look, I don't think it was acceptable, but I also don't think, I mean, it's been something that's been tossed around. I actually saw something from 2011. People were comparing the Benghazi hearings to the lynching of partisan Democrats. So, look, this is probably just a word that we should retire from American politics, but I think there's a lot of hypocrisy coming from the Democrats.
I never heard any of this indignation when the Democrats were saying it during the Clinton impeachment.
Right,
You had Jim McDermott say it. You had Jerry Nadler say it. You had two African-Americans, Greg Meek and Danny Davis, use that exact same word. There was none of this outcry. So, but in my opinion, I think it is an outrageous kangaroo court worthy of a third world country. The fact that we have one newspaper around here walking around with a holier than thou, democracy dies in darkness, and yet we are impeaching a president in darkness. I think it's the most vile, wicked process that we've ever seen in the history of the United States. It is a kangaroo court.
Going back to my point earlier, I get the fact that you've heard that from Democrats, and I'm not patting them on the back. But there's a difference between them and the behavior and the rhetoric we've seen from Donald Trump. You have to yield on that fact.
Would you yield that it's a kangaroo court? How can you impeach the president?
Let's focus on what Antoine's asking you here.
There's a big difference, Jack. Let's focus on the moment for a second. There's a big difference between the behavior and the rhetoric from Donald Trump when it comes to issues like race. And Democrats and Republicans have called him out for his rhetoric versus a Joe Biden who black people love, endure, or any one of those members that people try to pivot to. The second thing I'll tell you, the second thing I'll tell you, you call it a kangaroo court. I call it Constitution, duty, and responsibility.
Without a floor vote. I was there for impeachment.
Let me just say, Antoine is not excusing the comments of Joe Biden or Jerry Nadler or anyone else, but he's being consistent here in calling out both. I mean, do you think, my question is...
10 years ago now, I'm saying you were a young man.
He's pretty young, so I don't think that's a fair standard. But do you think that rhetoric belongs in our politics, whether it comes from a Democrat or a Republican?
Let me say this about the left. You love... Some left love to capture words and say that word is now taboo because we're not allowed to use it. It is a way of shutting down free speech. So you think it should be acceptable? I think a better word would have been what it is, a kangaroo court. It is an insidious coup using taxpayer dollars. And I got to tell you, Antoine, it is outrageous that they are not voting on this and saying, let's have witnesses, let's have fairness.
No, Jack, to be clear, a impeachment inquiry does not require a vote. You don't think, as smart as she is, Nancy Pelosi would have taken a vote if it was required. Number two, they are doing...
It's not about the requirement. It's about the fairness and being able to give subpoena power to the opposition party, because it's true. They're not allowed to call witnesses. They're doing all this stuff behind closed doors. They're leaking like a sieve to their favorite CNN reporters, and it is ridiculous.
That's the biggest load of meatloaf I've heard all week. Look, let's be very clear.
Yeah.
Congress has the oversight responsibility to do checks and balances.
Sure.
What they're doing, as Republican Will Hurd said Sunday on Face the Nation, is they are gathering information and making the case to the American people. There's nothing wrong with that. Keep in mind, it was you all from Benghazi, and now we know from the emails who were totally wasting the American people's time and their dime when it came to Hillary Clinton. So let's not press the ignore and chill button.
When Susan Rice was saying that was caused by a video, that was truth. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
So,
I know
we're not going to litigate. We're not going back.
Go down the Benghazi
I do not want to go do Benghazi.
We are going to talk about Hillary Clinton.
Hillary can't get out of the news.
All right, because on a podcast, she appeared to insinuate, number one, that Jill Stein is a Russian asset and that this was the reason she lost. Excuse number 433. Maybe she should have campaigned in Wisconsin and Michigan, just a thought.
Right.
And she seemed to insinuate that Tulsi Gabbard, who's an American veteran who's running for president right now, was a Russian asset. She actually said she's being groomed by Russia. So when this first happened, press reached out to her spokesperson, Nick Merrill, and his response was, if the nesting doll fits. Okay, so clearly embracing, yes, this is Tulsi Gabbard. Yes, we're saying she's a Russian asset. Yes to all of that. Well, now, after she got a bunch of heat from unexpected places of people being Bernie Sanders and Beto O'Rourke and all kinds of people coming out and saying, you can't just go around randomly smearing people of being Russian assets, essentially accusing them of committing treason. Now they're parsing the word and say, well, we weren't really saying that.
We meant she was being groomed by the Republicans. I mean, look, Jack, it's an outrageous smear. They've been doing this now for the last 3 years against anybody who doesn't agree with them. And I want to point out that Nick Merrill, the person who's walking this back, is a alleged toady for Harvey Weinstein,
according
who
to
told
Ronan
Farrow that he would not be setting up an interview with him because he was investigating his sex crimes or alleged sex crimes. There you go. So I'll give you.
Got our legal butts covered
I hope
there.
the lawyers are happy with that one.
Well, splitting out right from wrong, and what I would say is the campaign people who are handling Tulsi Gabbard are popping corks. This is the greatest boost for their campaign that there's been. I mean,
absolutely.
You talk about Klobuchar's lost in the single digits. This was a huge boost for her, particularly because she has been a combat veteran, and Hillary Clinton had that infamous statement that we had incoming fire and there was shrapnel flying in the air. So Tulsi Gabbard just
Jack's bringing out all the HRC greatest hits today.
Well, she won't go away. She should join Jimmy Carter with Habitat for Humanity and have some dignity. But it is the exact same thing that happened for 2.5 years with the witch hunt for Mueller, but I think largely caused by Hillary Clinton to begin with. Everybody's a Russian asset.
Antoine's got a diatribe.
I'll put some stuff on the table for you.
Go ahead.
I'm not even going to eat off that plate. Let me just be clear. Hillary Clinton, although she served this country differently than the Congresswoman from Hawaii, she still served this country, and I'm thankful for her service, and she's made this country better. That's number one. Number two, I subscribe to the Jay-Z philosophy, nobody wins when the family feuds. So when all of this started to unravel, I was like, whoa, let's take a step back and let's stay focused, because Democrats are stronger when we're together. But no one can press the ignore button on the fact that when you think about some of the statements and policy positions the Congresswoman from Ohio have taken and made, they flirt with some of the likings of.
Okay, but here's the problem.
But I'm not here to dispute that. What I do hope we get back to is staying focused on we all are wearing the same jersey, and the team we're going to play against in November, no matter what differences we have among each other, they do not compare to the differences we have on the other side.
Here's what was interesting to me, though. This whole thing with Hillary, to me, it was very Trumpian. Like, she goes out and makes an outrageous and slanderous claim. and waits a couple days, and all kinds of people went out on the limb with her. I read op-eds of like, yes, Tulsi is a Russian asset, which look, we've interviewed her here. You can disagree with the policy, you can disagree with the meeting with the, that's fine, right? That's fine. But that is a completely slanderous, baseless, frankly insane claim to make about her. So all these people go out on the limb, and then yesterday night they just chop that limb off. We're like, oh no, that's not what we were saying.
Like
I mean, that's exactly what Trump does all the time.
I don't
talk about gaslighting. Like that's what this is.
I don't disagree with you. That's why I think sometimes we all should step back out of the moment and just take a deep breath and stay focused on the mission. And if Democrats ever get divided on our mission, we're going to be in trouble next year in 2020.
I don't think we should prolong this discussion.
I bet you do.
I think it's very good.
To distract from the corruption that comes from his party.
But you know, it does lead you up to the stage. Is she going to get in the race or not?
No.
Because it really does. Well, she's acting like it.
I mean, God, I hope so.
She's
I really do.
She will be an asset to this party. Let me just
a Russian asset.
And an asset to our party, too.
They can accuse me of grooming her to run for president. Please accuse me of that.
There you go.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Really
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
it. Tomorrow on Rising, after a monumental fundraising quarter, GOP national spokesperson Liz Harrington is going to describe the Republican strategy going forward.
And of course, Team Rising will be in the house as always. Everybody have a fantastic day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Thank you all. And whoever made this cartoon of us, we're going to throw that up on the screen.
We have the cartoon.
I want to specifically shout this out.
There we
are. Thank you for that. It gave me a great laugh. And,
we enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it. Keep it coming.
I also like how buff I look, so thank you for that.
We will see you guys tomorrow.